Can I get an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we have approval of the May 3rd audit committee meeting minutes. I got a chance to review it. Get approval?
I move to approve the minutes
I
as
thought she had
presented.
a note on it. What's that note up there?
That's for the prior ones.
Oh, okay.
This is today's. So Jody, motion. Mark, did you second?
Yes, Mark seconds.
So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so we've approved the minutes for May 3rd. And so now the topic of the day is to review the draft of the budget. And I guess I'll turn it over to Kyle.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. So most of you've probably been through our budget before too, right? Did you?
Yes.
Just got on. Okay, so
Yep.
you're pretty familiar with the setup of the budget. I'd like to just start at the budget schedule on page 1. So where we're at right now is we had one budget workshop, which is on June 19th with the City Council. We ran through some changes, which I can go over from the first draft. So this is actually draft 2. This has been presented to council for our next workshop, which is going to be Monday, July 17th. And the second budget workshop is the meeting where after the workshop we set the tentative millage rate. And the deal with that is whatever you set it at, you can go down, but you cannot go higher. So that's kind of, you want to make sure you plan accordingly. Go to page 3. I'm going to talk about what the millage rate is. Right now, and what we've been at for a long time now, is 2.0394 millage. And last year we experienced increases in home values and property values. And this year we did again, and that's on page 9.
Or it's really at the bottom of that
That's on
page, right?
page
Oh,
5, small 5. It's highlighted. So this year, our official increase in value is 10.85.
If you say so.
Change in total tax bill.
I had to bring 2 readers.
You got a magnifying
Oh, I'm
glass.
sorry. Maybe bit of an landscape.
So that's percent, 10.85%.
That's a percentage, yes. The way it works is if we stay at the existing millage rate, we'll pull in more revenue for ad valorem revenue for the city. And then what the rollback rate is if we were to keep our increase in property value, and we wanted to keep the exact same revenue we had last year, and then we roll back to a lesser millage. My recommendation is that we keep the existing, which we've had for some time. When we laid out our budget projections, looking at the bond issue, we calculated based on sticking to what the current is.
And if you go back to page 3, it's a little bit easier to read.
Yeah,
The
this
trend
right here.
analysis. So it's got us going from 730 billion in taxable value to 809.6 billion.
Yeah.
So the change for this year's $79 million increase, which is at 10.85%.
Correct. And then Heather does a nice little overview of the taxes that you pay per millage and the percentages of how much Bellard Beach tax is compared to the other services provided from the county.
That's the bottom chart on page 4.
Page 4. Then we'll go into the budget itself. Page 9. Well, once we get into the general fund, it starts on page 6. The revenues for the city, in the past, we kind of had some larger gaps between the actuals and the budgeted numbers. I brought those up closer, kind of line for line. One thing I did since the last draft is increase our community center rental income. Took it all the way up to 30,000. I think we had a previous, 19,300.
Where are we on page 9?
Page 9. So that's up near the top. We've been regularly pulling in more revenue for rentals. Laura's been doing a great job, so I just wanted to get that number closer
So-
to what it is.
Am I looking at this right? The revenues have gone up roughly 1.8 million since 22 to 23. Total revenues?
Which page you on?
I'm on 7.
Page 7 is 1.4.
Total revenues. Yeah, well, we're amended budget was 4.8, and the actual revenues were 3 million for the previous year.
Oh, that was in 21. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, but I was just saying that it actually has gone up that much.
I think that includes, doesn't that include some of the financing and stuff, though? When we're looking at revenues,
think
it
so.
includes
Yeah.
that bond
Does.
issuance, yeah.
It's got the monies coming in.
Okay, so
$2 million of that is
well, so it wasn't just,
tax.
yeah, it wasn't just tax.
Right.
Okay, because it didn't look like the operating revenues were down in the amendment budget for that same period. So it had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, the details are on the subsequent pages. And I think a lot of it's the, what your reserve fund balance
And there-
appropriation, unassigned.
Transfer.
Yeah, the transfers.
That's what
Stuff that
because that all has to balance it.
moved over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I knew where the numbers were coming from.
Yeah, when I looked at page 8 at the top, we were starting the year off with $1 million, one more
Yeah.
in cash on the balance sheet.
Yep.
At the top,
Yes.
total fund balance.
Yeah. Okay.
And then on the detail, I just had a quick couple of questions on the license and registrations. There's probably some more detail in here that I probably didn't see, but the drop of 50,000 on the
That is.
rental property.
No, that is, do you have draft 2?
Oh, maybe I'm looking at, am I looking at?
Yeah,
That-
look
that
at
got
what
adjusted.
you got
That was
today,
planning.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was
We got
planning
today,
on
but it's right, yeah.
the limitation that the state was.
Oh,
putting on.
okay. So that
So we
answers
put that
question.
back up.
Gotcha, okay.
So this is second draft, which should be.
And then I guess my only other question on
Problem.
the utility service taxes there, we're kind of keeping those all flat. Is that not going to go up at all, or just a question? I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, we kept them flat based on the actuals.
Okay.
Yeah, and we haven't seen enough where we felt comfortable
Bumping them up.
bumping them up too much. Yeah, so we kind of.
Even though when you read the Biz Journal today, electricity is a big driver of the 7%
Yes.
inflation rate in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Yet oil prices went down. So that doesn't quite jive.
It's
That's
the-
how we
it's the
create
natural
electricity.
gas
You're right.
it uses.
Okay.
Okay. Page 10. Our unassigned fund balance has been going up, and in our budget projections, it will continue to. This just kind of lays out what is required per our charter that we keep in unassigned funds. We have well over that, as you can see. Page.
Well, if we back up, I had a question on page 9.
Okay.
So under expenditures by department, Parks and Rec,
Mhm.
we dropped that by 63,000. Was that because of the playground?
No, that is because, I'm trying to look at the detail. That was, we had a lot of money in buoy refurbishment / replacement. I don't know why that was budgeted so high. I'll have to check on that because we budgeted it high, but we didn't spend that much. We had 69,500 in the amended budget.
Okay. And then the line below that, transfers to other funds, so we've got the increase of $1.2 million over the prior year, and that's just the fund CapEx.
Where we at?
Like, so it's other financing uses,
Okay.
transfers to other funds is up $1,263,000, so is that the monies we're gonna transfer in to do the stormwater and all the things?
Yes. Yeah, for expenditures, yes. That's
Okay.
what, if we go to the project pages, it'll show that.
Yeah.
Page 16.
Sorry, just one other quick question. The interest on the investments, is that fund, the proceeds from the debt that we're just investing, is that what it is, or is it, because it's up $60,000?
I think it's two things. So it's the proceeds on the money while we're waiting to expend it.
Okay.
Plus, we moved the checking account where we were only getting.
Oh,
like
yeah,
20
that's right.
bips,
You
and
did
now
mention
we're
that.
getting,
Yeah.
Fed funds.
Yep.
minus 25.
Okay, yep. Yep, that's right. Forgot about that.
So that went from Truist to Valley?
Yeah. Have you guys?
In the process.
Okay.
We got all the papers signed, turned in the papers. We have a call tomorrow at 10:30.
So it'll be
To
effective
just
for the
discuss
whole
strategy.
fiscal year by September. It'll be in place for the
Yeah,
fiscal year.
but Truist didn't fight that?
They're not.
They don't care.
The big banks are.
They don't care.
Bank of America will let it go. Wells will let it go.
Guess they don't.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta hold an account until we pay off the building loan,
Yeah. No, it's good. It's a good thing that we found somebody that cared
but, yeah.
enough.
And we got South State,
Yeah.
because of the loan, South State required us to put $250,000, and they were effective Fed funds, so they're 0.25% less than Valley, so it's still
Still great.
significantly higher
Oh,
than
yeah.
30 or 40 basis points.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So we're on page 16.
Well, before you get there,
Oh,
on 14, you've got, I just noticed, you might be wanting to talk about these in the details, but I saw the $15,000 increase on the audit, and so I assume that's because we have to do the second audit for the ARPA funds?
Yeah, we have to, well, no, that is because we are set for one more year on our current contract, and then the option to renegotiate, we reached out to kind of get a number, and it came back a lot higher.
So this doesn't include the secondary ARPA audit, or?
Last I heard from Heather is we don't have to do, we're not required to do which was,
On the 800,000?
yeah. She got confirmation that, I forgot the name of the type of audit, it was a more detailed audit. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, that requirement.
So this is just salt marsh go from 20 to 35?
Well, that we're going back out to RFP because we're covered this year for the next audit, but we need to get an RFP. We're just estimating that's what it's gonna come back at based on what we've seen.
So this money would be expensed based on the 9/30/23 audit, and that's still 20,000? So we'll pay the 20,000, or do we?
Yeah,
We budget for the year that's being audited, the fees for that?
so this is budgeted for not the next audit, the one after. So this is what we're anticipating.
We had a 3-year deal or something?
Yes,
Yes, that's
yeah,
what I
and
thought.
this will be our third year to audit this current year's budget.
So that's a new project for the audit committee, it'll be an RFP next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was the 3-year a
Um,
fixed rate too, or was it just have like
No,
CPI
it
increases or
was,
something?
there was increases.
Okay,
I don't have it,
You see
in front,
we
but it
were
did go
12
up.
to 20.
yeah, it's a,
It's a big jump, and now,
That's a pretty big
now
jump.
we're thinking it's gonna be even higher?
Yes, based on the numbers.
Well, for what reason? It's not any more complex. We just have more money and they want more.
Inflation.
We're comparing
Inflation.
what numbers we saw.
We're sharing?
I said inflation.
RFP, and
Yeah.
it came back a lot.
and that's what they came back with.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't salt marsh. I think on theirs came back extremely. It was ridiculous. It was like
Oh,
50
really?
something.
Oh, wow.
But that's the contract they went with was in the low 30s. So we just wanted to be safe.
Yeah.
That was salt marsh as well?
That was not salt marsh. They came back very, very high.
Okay, so
Well, the
hopefully this number will
RFP
come
will,
Yeah.
the RFP will weed things out. people should come back.
I mean, this is the lowest of the RFPs, right? Or middle of the ground from the
This is a
results?
little bit higher than what we saw,
Okay.
when another city did.
But the RFP, Tim, that we chose was the lowest, because Salt Marsh has
Right.
They were
been
the-
historically,
Historically the lowest.
and they, I don't know how many years, they bought the company, they bought the auditing firm that historically did the city, so.
They inherited it,
Yeah.
Okay.
and now they have
Now
to
they're
pay
trying
for
to
what they
recoup some
spent.
of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
right, right.
All right, sorry, you go to page 16.
Okay, the reason I'm on this page is because we had the part-time position for the admin assistant. In this current year's budget, council decided that we want to advertise for full-time. And then we're budgeting to continue to keep a full-time position. If that's at the same hourly rate of the $18 per hour.
So that's part-time.
So
to
your
full-time.
salary rate and wages climbed up.
So going from part-time to full-time, correct? Does that mean now we have benefits kick in, or did we have benefits?
That, no, benefits will kick in because of that, yes.
So it's the combo.
Mhm. Okay.
And I see the insurance has
Yeah.
gone up. Is that an actual quote? or-
Oh, yeah. That is, we won't get those numbers until August. Probably later August.
So we just guessed.
That's, that's Florida Municipal Insurance Trust. That's the numbers that they project.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's mainly because of our asset liability. That's going up 75%.
The building?
No, all the assets that we insure.
Added assets.
Yeah.
So
around the
this
city
is
property.
this isn't, is this health stuff? This is health insurance, though, right? That, is that
At
what
the
you're referring
top,
to?
we were under, when I was talking about the position.
Down below.
Down below, we're
Oh, yeah.
talking about just the general
Gotcha.
insurance.
Yep, okay.
And then, that includes, if you go to your details, that includes the, building.
Yeah,
flood
yeah,
insurance.
makes on the property, which is not a
Also
surprise.
includes the assets in the parks. They told us to project 10% on everything, the liability, the workers' comp, vehicle. So that's what I put in.
Pardon me, Kyle.
Yes.
Pardon me, I just had a question on that insurance increase. The property insurance went up a large amount, and you're saying you're insuring more or insuring at a higher value?
From what I was told, based on what happened from the storms in the state, it's caused an increase all around, just because of the damage and the claims.
Well,
So-
the cost of reinsurance
All
has
right,
gone
but no
up.
claims,
Yeah.
but we made no claims?
The last claim we made was the sign. That was a couple years ago. So we haven't. No, we're not making any claims.
They
I
don't,
see.
Also the replacement
Do we
costs, the inflationary aspect.
Do we get competitive bids on the insurance?
Right now, I'm having another municipal insurance company give me some numbers, Brown and Brown, to compare. We've gone with Florida Municipal Trust Insurance Trust for quite a while now.
Which
Sure.
is that the League of Cities recommendation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not too many out there. I just wanted to, there are some other municipalities use Brown and Brown. I wanted to see what they had to offer.
Yeah, good thought. All right.
It's a good exercise.
yeah, always, for sure.
Okay. I think that covers everything on that. Non-departmental, 17, law enforcement, that contract for the law enforcement services went up 7.94%. You'll see 7.8 because we have, I think it's $10,000 extra for special detail. But
I know that in the meeting the other night, it was raised whether or not the allocation between Bel Air and Bel Air Beach is, I didn't quite maybe understand what the final resolution, were we going to look at that to see if there is a fair, I mean, we obviously got to enter into the
It's been
contract, of
looked at.
course, but,
It's
a
been looked
couple
at quite a
times, we
bit,
can
yeah.
do it again.
okay. Yeah, I didn't,
It's kind of like, we save a little bit because we share a deputy.
Yeah.
And we're right in the same area.
Yep.
Based on the numbers that the sheriff calculates it,
I think it was 1 hour a day, or 1 hour per 8
They
hour
lay it
shift.
all out.
Yeah.
There's some discrepancy where people think that they're doing more over there. I don't know if there's value in trying to prove
Yeah.
and go that far.
That'd be more than it's worth, have a headache than it's worth.
I mean, part of the too, with the interlocal agreement, we agree to maintain those parking areas, and so I would.
it is kind of shared value
Yeah,
in the time they
there's-
spend
Right.
on those accesses.
And it's not just Bel Air Shores they're servicing when they're at those access
Yeah,
points,
yeah.
so.
Okay.
And has the allowance or the way we divvied that cost up remained relatively constant
Yes.
over the years? So
Yeah, and we've asked them
We
a
have,
couple
we
times.
have
out
looked at that more
to show
in
it.
the past, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
The restriction is there's really no other agency we can go to except maybe Clearwater PD, because it has to be an adjacent city, and that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So,
A few years ago, that was, I think it's either before we established the CAC or right afterwards. And again, it goes back to the previous mayor. There was an attempt to reach out to see
Yeah.
if someone, because of these typical increases
That's
every
when we
year.
had that finance committee project we were on.
Yeah, and we looked at St. Pete, we looked at Largo, and they all said, no thanks.
No, thank you, yeah. No, I think, and I was here long before when we had our own police department, and when we made the change, and I think what's going on now is really good service, and it's excellent. There's a lot of things that I think we need to be looking at, because I see a lot of things going on around the city that don't appear to be being addressed by the police and should be. But other than that, I think,
You think it's police or code enforcement?
well, it's both.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't even know if he's, quote, code enforcing or if he's policing either, because,
I know
You know,
from
I don't-
talking to the current and the previous code enforcement officer, they're in a cruiser and they're on the frequency with the communication center. And if they're on duty as code enforcement and a call comes in and they're closest,
they'll respond.
they will respond and they turn the clock off on code enforcement.
I'm sure that's the case, but I can't tell when I
Yeah.
see the cruiser going down the street if he's responding to code enforcement or if there's
Well,
been
yeah,
an event.
I understand.
You know, and I see him pass up events. There's one event around the corner from me that's been going on for 2 years. Guy parks his trailer on the side of his house, boat trailer.
I
And it's
brought
got
up a
no,
few things too.
no barrier, no fence, no nothing.
Right down there at the corner of Gulf and Causeway. Got the open trenches and the weeds like this. I brought it up last night. And then the issue with the deputy telling people that were riding bicycles at the water line, if not in the water line. No, you can't do that.
I heard somebody say that.
No, it was
I
on-
thought
it
that was
on Facebook,
hilarious.
Next door.
But it's the high water line, not, not
But they think they own infinite to wherever the water's at.
at the time.
At the time where the water is, yeah, and it's not the case.
No, it's a high water mark.
mean high
Yeah,
water
yeah.
mark.
We allow
Yeah.
likes it.
Yeah,
And
Whether
across,
there's water on it or not.
another case in point too that I've seen too about this, and I brought it up the other night. Those condos just north of the Bel Air Beach Motel, they seem to have multiple commercial lawn services. They're there 2 or 3 times a week, and they're there religiously, one of them, every Sunday. So I asked him point blank, does that not constitute commercial work? And he said, well, yeah, but we're kind of giving them a break because of rain. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm not going to belabor this, but
Well, but I think in general, for the money, I think that.
Yeah, overall,
And I
we're-
think
we're
we
getting-
proved that we couldn't replace it, couldn't get anybody interested. I don't think we can replace it by that, but I think we ought to be a little more diligent in holding their feet to the fire to see what they do. I look at the code enforcement report, it's huge. There's a lot of things on that report that they're doing, and then going back and things are being rechecked and stuff like that. So it appears that they're very active, but I see the same things lingering
yep.
at the same houses for over a year. And I don't understand where the leniency, what deserves the leniency.
Well-
I don't get it.
You know, I was really disappointed when they were discussing this the other night, that we're going to reduce the hours of contracted code enforcement and absorb some of that in-house. And my concern,
Who's going to do that? What
good
person?
question.
We all do a little code enforcement, especially
But do
between
you
myself and.
address it, or do you report it to the code enforcement
No,
person?
we pretty much
do
the
everything.
code enforcement.
Well-
The code enforcement reports things to us, and we do all the administration.
Oh, you do that, all of it
Yes,
now?
Yes.
Oh, I see, I
And-
wasn't aware of that. I thought they were writing up the,
No. And I represent every hearing for the city.
And Laura does a lot of foot traffic, and she's out there too.
I
so,
didn't,
yeah.
I did not realize it, then I,
And
maybe my
it kind of
direction.
says that in their contract.
Okay. That they Just
They provide code enforcement
spot it?
services.
and tell you
Well,
what's going on?
There's-
There's benefits to the sheriff doing code enforcement, the presence and the
No,
uniform.
you're right, exactly.
But essentially, any one of us, because the way our code is written, the city manager or designated staff can do code enforcement. We can all do the exact same
Okay,
thing.
all right.
Okay.
But, so, who do we report incidents to that we feel need to be addressed?
Just call me.
Call
A
Laura.
lot of people call me.
I know, Jane called me the other day
Yeah.
about the mess at the
We
end of
got
our
out
street.
there.
Did you see what was going on there?
Yeah, they were all over.
But-
I was actually out there and I called the owner or the contractor and had him move.
And I told the guys who park opposite each other,
Yeah, it
both in the
doesn't make
wrong
sense.
direction, I said, the police are giving tickets. Nah, I don't care. He just walked away.
Who said that?
One of the subs on the,
Oh.
at the end of 22nd. Well, they're young kids and they just park wherever they want to and they don't want to get a ticket.
Well, when that fire truck comes through there and can't get through there and they just gently put them out of the way, they'll-
Well, exactly right. And like
I've seen this happen.
2 months
Yeah,
ago,
I
Waste
believe it.
Management took out my mailbox because they were trying to squeeze through because all the construction
There was a
workers had trailers there.
confrontation between waste management and
Yeah.
Yeah,
workers.
but I'll tell you, Waste Management handled the whole thing so professionally, it was unbelievable. They had their insurance adjuster call me the same day. He said, just get an estimate and send us the estimate, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, that's how
And I
they.
didn't do it, I procrastinated. They called me back 3 times, we're waiting for you to send us your estimate.
Well, that's
Okay.
great. You don't get that anymore. Usually you
No,
call them.
No, that's what I'm saying, they're very conscientious.
Well, that's a good report.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
Oh, you not interested? Fine.
So,
Mark.
speaking of code enforcement, yes, we
Yeah.
reduced the hours. That went up 7.5% per hour rate. We experimented with reducing the hours this current budget year from 20 to 15. I feel like we supplemented it well with city staff and actually got a little bit more out of the code enforcement officer. And then this year, we're going to drop down to 3 4-hour days instead of 5-hour days. So come down from 15
Oh,
to
okay.
12.
I had no idea that staff, city staff, was filling the void, if you will.
Yeah, the
So
same-
I
But
learned
that
something.
report
Okay.
you see is the
I
city
prefer
staff.
that city staff is very capable of doing code enforcement because, again, even when we had him here 20 hours, there were just days and times that he wasn't here, and I don't want to have to rely on 100% on the
Yeah.
sheriff's office
Yeah.
having to do code enforcement,
Okay.
especially if it's something that needs to be addressed quickly. Page 19. Okay, this came up in the meeting on Monday. Decided that we are going out to an RFP for our sanitation services. I'm working diligently with our city attorney to get something out, because we're on a timeline. So that's where we're at with that. Page 20. You're going to see a high increase on the salaries and wages up in the personnel services. That is, it was brought up in the first budget workshop to put numbers together of what it would look like if we were to add a maintenance worker to the staff. And I just kind of did it on a separate page to make it a little easier to understand and see it by itself, because we did plug it into the draft of the budget, but that is that staff and what it would cost on its own,
So it's
and
one-
how it would be laid out.
One FTE, one full-time.
Yeah, one full-time equivalent, yeah. So that's still to be considered. I wanted to bring it up tonight because it was something that we wanted to take a look at and get your recommendations.
Is there a delay on getting some maintenance things done? Are we paying overtime currently?
We're not, I try not to use any of the budgeted overtime, and I usually save it for when we're in an emergency situation. Currently, you know, I feel like we work tight around here. Ever since Lynn kind of took the helm, we became very, very efficient. We'll always perform at what we're capable of. What I have noticed is that we, inside and outside, it is tough for staff members to take vacations or have time off, or we do feel it a lot, but we work hard and we deal with it. It was brought up. I feel if we had another person in the field, it would allow us to do better, allow us to perform better services, more quality, give us areas that they'd be busy, is what I'm trying to say. We have plenty of work.
So they talked about the other night about additional raking at the beach. Would this help?
It definitely would help. It would help just keeping up with the detail. It would help with every time we take on special projects, and just every once in a while you got to do something, and then you kind of got to. Other areas have to adjust, and then we play catch up.
But the thing is that this goes a long way towards helping with retention, making sure that everybody feels as if the city's doing as much as they can do to give them the help that they need. And as you said, if it's difficult for people to feel comfortable taking vacations, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing,
Right.
to keep people from going in and out that door.
So right now, we have 2 full-time public works employees.
Yes.
So hypothetically, if they were out doing assigned work on any given day and an emergency came up, they would have to stop at whatever point they're at on that routine work day and deal with that, depending on however long that takes, puts them behind. So my question would be, bottom line, Kyle, is this factored into this right now, yes or no?
Yes.
I'm for it.
And do you think, is this an appropriate wage for this type of position? I don't know. I mean,
So we have a lead worker, and then so that would be either a service worker, or in the budget is listed as maintenance worker 3. That's the lead, and then the one underneath, the service worker 2.
yeah.
So I'm proposing another service worker 2. We don't need anything more than
Is
that. We
this,
just need
do they get full benefits?
yes.
Yeah. Looks like it.
Be full-time, they'd be considered full-time
And
employees.
some of their money, of their earnings is attributed to the stormwater fund?
Yes.
It will
That-
be.
And some
It's
to
15%. I just plugged it because you're not going to see it unless I put it all on one sheet. That's why I wanted to
Okay.
break it up separate.
Do you want a motion?
I don't know if we need to.
I mean, we
right?
can just.
Yeah,
It's going to be for the whole item.
Support the budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be,
It's already in the budget.
I just make a note, we support an additional maintenance
Maintenance
worker
too.
2.
and is it easy to find them at that rate?
It's a challenge now. Just going to like the city manager meetings, everybody is understaffed. It's hard to find labor.
Yeah, it is.
We have a lot of affordability problems for living in this county.
Yeah.
So,
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
My next step, honestly, if we have trouble filling these positions, is going to start seriously looking at contractual services.
Hire out the landscaping.
That's what I was gonna say. We still do a lot of our own landscaping,
We do.
right?
Yeah, almost all of it.
Might make
so
sense
there's
to.
good and bad, and
So I've already been looking at the numbers. We've been having trouble finding someone and retaining somebody in the maintenance worker position. When I started experiencing that, I just started looking at the numbers because that would be the next option, and that would really be. I'd aim to contract out like the things you can find everywhere, like landscaping, and then have the maintenance workers to be doing all the little extra things that we have to do, more on the utility side of the stormwater, special projects, obviously like beach raking. I would recommend, if we were to contract out landscaping services, that we did all the properties except for City Hall. There's benefits to it. Right now we have a savings plan for 2 mowers in rotation. If we were contracting it out, I would only retain 1 mower, but I would keep City Hall property. I think that there's a higher level of service needed, and I would not want to depend, because we all know contractors, they may start out great, but you do spend a lot of time chasing them around and trying to manage them, and I just would not want, it would go out our capability to keep things up if we had to.
But it's tough to continuously be trying to hire people, and it's a costly venture to bring somebody on board for a month or 2, and then they leave and find somebody else.
Training.
I don't it's hardly a living wage for someone who has to live close enough to be here, to travel here every day. And it's tough.
Getting
And so I
Is that
see
true?
why you're having difficulties here.
Is like any program like a P-Tech, where there's kids coming out looking for an apprentice startup?
We've actually, at one of our consortium meetings, we had a P-Tech representative there. There was a lot of discussion on trying to, get people in these positions, but even P-Tech, I think the people coming out of there they're going to struggle coming into this level of a job.
Because this is,
I've used P-Tech. They have this thing, I think it's called Rocket something, but I've used it. I've advertised with them before for employment. Yeah, I didn't get anything. I really think that what we're going to experience is people that work this level are going to go to governments, more like up where I live, southern Pasco, where there's still affordability to live, and then they can commute and be close. It's getting so hard down there for that wage.
It might be too, looking at the local churches too, they have some posting boards, just an FYI if you're looking for some. Just,
Okay, yeah.
I know I've got some tenants, all of my tenants go to Indian Rocks, and, they all work maintenance and that sort of thing, so, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I want to check on the number brought up in our park and recreation under the buoy. Improvements other than for the amended budget from last year to this year. And there's got to be a reason, but I'll follow up on that. So once we get into the projects, all of them stayed relatively the same. They're just savings programs. A lot of these have to do with just upkeep maintenance, like painting, carpet replacement, replacing the buoys. That has gone up because of our new zone we have out there. To maintain that, it's going to cost more. That also. Yes.
Pardon me, go ahead, finish, and I had a question.
It's good stuff. You can ask your question.
Yeah, I'm back on page 21 with the parks and recreation. The numbers I saw on the subtotal operating capital outlay, the 5270630, the numbers, you end up with 100%. Am I reading this wrong, or is there some reason it's 100%?
No, that looks like it's incorrect formula. Oh, maybe it's just because I'll have to check the formula on the spreadsheet. It looks like there's a mistake.
All right.
And that could just be because it should be plugging the amended budget with the proposed budget and calculating it. So there's got to be some
Be a
kind
big
of
negative number.
technical
Yeah.
error.
Okay.
We'll check that.
You look at the bottom, probably carries through down there, the negative 75%.
Okay. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I just had a question on the capital stuff. In the prior years, there's numbers in the prior years. Is it safe to assume that if we just take kind of what we have and divide those prior year numbers, is how many years we've been kind of saving? So, for example,
Yeah, it's pretty safe. It's pretty consistent.
is is this is based on a quote? I was surprised to see it so flat and so even, given kind of the inflationary environment that we're in, and I was wondering if maybe this is anticipated at the end pricing that you may have gotten from somebody.
So there was pricing, and we had it on a savings plan, but a lot of these things we're not going to actually, pull the trigger on it until it's really needed.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Some of this,
There was a reserve study
you
that
were
was
saved.
done.
Is that what? Okay, that's what I was kind of
Kinda
getting at.
estimated
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it would be,
Okay.
but that reserve study at some point probably needs to be updated.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've seen increasing on things like painting the carpet, but we were kind of like reaching a number, an anticipated number of when we thought we may need to paint.
Yeah.
And we haven't. So we're kind of letting it go, but continue to save, and that's kind of compensating for what we're
Okay.
seeing.
Yeah, I think my question is probably more geared around the reserve. Like,
okay.
did we, we did it 6 years ago. They're estimating we're doing it in 10. It's gonna, we paid 10,000, 6 years ago. It's gonna cost us 30,000 in 10 years when we do it again. So.
On the cost of the actual
Yeah,
project.
yeah, just
The
kind
big
of
ones would be like HVAC, right? What we went through with stormwater and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Are we planning on a patrol boat?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get to that. That's the newish addition. We're saving for it. Okay.
Much needed. I suggest that we do it, so.
And like I said, we're facing issues where we have code issues on the water that we don't have access to get to it anywhere. We have other issues where we have our buoys that take maintenance, and kind of like these things that every time something happens, it's like, okay, thank you for telling us, but there's only so much we can do.
The
with
sheriff's
our
not going to come
capabilities.
down from Seminole.
They'll work with us. It's not an easy
hit and miss.
feat.
What is this boat? I know in the committee meeting you said you looked at a program that's out there. It's just like a 24
So what I
foot.
did is I went through like government agreement. Like I looked for something that was already in government contract, just to kind of base numbers on. And I mean, and I came up with this. I don't know probably nearly as much as the boats as some of you guys do, but this is like, it's a smaller style,
Perfect.
inflatable hull patrol boat, something. It has options. Obviously, I just wanted to base on something that was on the government contract that we could save for. That this is a couple of years out. It was good for. I know that if we want to decide on something maybe with lesser options, we put it all together in an RFP or
Is that
a
a
bid.
copy? Is that
I'll pass it around. I didn't want to make
I
a
just
whole bunch of these, but I just wanted to show you guys
just for
the spec sheet.
I'm an investor in original.
But that's for
inflatable,
shallow
so
water.
I'll give it to our guys and see what they.
There's the
Yeah,
rest of the
it's-
specs are there.
It's used by, inshore by other agencies. That's the boat that they.
Like the police boats
Yeah.
and the Coast Guard has those inflatables, yeah.
We don't need every bell and whistle, but at the same time, I don't think it's a good idea to be really cheaping out on something used or, really trying to save money, because I think that you need a safe vessel.
The main thing our rigid inflatable boat business does is we replace the rig. Because it's so many manufacturers use such a cheap millage. And
Okay.
80% of what we do is we replace the tube.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll have our guys look at the specs
Yeah,
and see what
please do.
And would that be able to stay on a trailer until it was launched?
It
Could it
includes the
launch
trailer. That
over
was the
here?
idea. Yeah, we'd launch here, or as long as we could.
Yeah.
Which I think so. That size boat.
Yeah.
should be
Yeah,
fine.
that's what I was hoping, that it would be a size. We could just drop it in.
Yeah, I think it would be beneficial that we kept an opening over at the marina in case there was something we were working on, so we weren't always having to. Obviously, if we weren't going to use it for a while, we'd trailer it, but it would be good to have a spot that it could be moored up, at the end of the day if we were doing something continuous.
Yep. Well, if you end up getting it, I've got an empty lift you could sit on while you're making arrangements to either get a trailer or do something. So,
Yeah, I'd
it's not
almost
big.
like to see it a little more expedited, just because as I said, when I first talked
Sure.
about this, you guys, every time we say anything about the water, it's the point is we can't monitor what goes on in the water. We can't do anything about anyone anchoring out because we don't have access to it. So it's really just tied your hands for a long period of time. I know not everyone agrees with me, but I think it's something we should try to accelerate. Just my thought.
I'm all for this. I mean, it ties your hands.
Yeah.
Like you said, especially about code enforcement.
It's always an option to finance it too if you need to, right? Instead of throwing out the full 100 right up front.
Well, there's plenty of money in reserves.
Yeah, I guess that's
I
true,
mean,
yeah.
we could just pull the money out.
It would be best.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, but they call it Party Island out there, but that's our actual jurisdiction.
It's a nightmare.
People do a lot out there.
Which one is
We
this
have
one right
no
here?
way of-
The one
That's really.
over to the right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
come around the back.
And
of it.
also,
someone-
we can monitor the mooring too, right? Because
We
anything
can
this
make
side of
more
the
efforts
intercoastal,
to find violations. to
anything this
report.
side of the intercoastal is really our jurisdiction.
So the 3 boats here, the 2 boats over there.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of them get pumped out.
No, that's my big thing is
Yeah.
they should have a pump out receipt if they're gonna anchor out
Where's the
there.
receipt for
Right.
having somebody pump you out?
Well,
So there's
Bluffs
like-
is fighting.
They gotta
The
Yeah, I
residents
saw
are
that.
fighting hard because those boats are supposed to move every 3 days.
Right.
And they've never moved.
There's one that's in someone's backyard right now.
I know, I
That's
saw
it.
that.
It's a
Oh,
nightmare.
lucky it didn't hit his
I
pier.
think that's the same guy that had a street light pointing at him for several weeks too. though.
Well, there was the other boat that went into the dock at that condo, and it did 30,000 in damage back in
Oh.
November.
Wow.
And so, it almost looks like the same boat.
Probably
Yeah, it
is.
Hey, this is bullcrap. I mean, I've been retired from the Navy a little over 30 years. I'm going to tell you, back in the late 70s, we stopped pumping sewage over the side
Yeah.
in port.
Right.
We had to reconfigure our ports with what we call the CHT. And we had to dedicate certain tanks on the ship.
For
Because you
holding.
can't dump within 12 miles of shore. So every time you come into port, an American port and some foreign ports, it's not just water and steam and electricity. You're hooking up sewer.
Right.
So I just don't understand these people that do this to our inland waters, and it needs to be addressed and it needs to be dealt with. So I had no clue that was ours.
Yeah, if you go, I've been out there once. Because what happened was someone put up the Santos flag and somebody was upset about it and it was our jurisdiction. So then I called the
goodness.
attorney and he said, sadly, I didn't want to, but I had to take down the American flag too because if you take down one, you have to take down both.
I remember some sandbar thingy over here to the north.
Picnic table.
Explain
Is that what they call that one? There was an American flag there all the time.
There still is, I think.
Oh, the One Tree Island, it's
Yeah.
still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So because I took down the, I had people yelling at me, and then it caused a big uproar in Indian Rocks Beach because they thought it was Indian Rocks, and then I eventually. So, and then after that, I was like, that was not worth it.
Yeah.
Because I had to jump off the front of the sheriff's boat, get someone in the water, get out. Yeah, it was. I was like,
Oh,
okay,
that
this
was
is not the
comment
way.
about you getting wet, huh?
No, that was about it.
No, that was
Over
the
on Belle Isle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's an island over there off of Daytona Beach or something. It's been in the news. I have one of the Orlando stations apps on my phone, and there's an island out there people go to that party, and they jury rig some kind of multi-level tree house. And
Yeah.
the deputies have actually gone out there to tear it down because they've been doing drugs and booze and everything
I
else.
saw that. I think it's called Meth Island or something.
Yeah.
If that was we're aware of it, and something happens, and then. Okay.
Okay.
No, you'll see that as a TV show.
Yeah,
next
right,
season.
that's probably what's next.
Yeah.
Then we get into the capital projects fund. This has its own revenue sources that are dedicated for capital projects infrastructure. So some of these revenues, like the infrastructure penny for Pinellas tax that we get our percentage on a regular every year, that has to stay in this fund. It can't come out. for anything else. So that's kind of why it's got its own dedication. If you go through some of the projects in here, they've remained consistent. We have, you know, some of the stuff is still like the, for the building, the roof replacement, the HVAC replacement, things that we have to plan for. Some of the park area improvements, our bridges, you know, the infrastructure. We have two projects. One's for just the general repairs, and then the other is for saving up for the replacement when it gets to that.
I gotta ask a dumb question.
Yep.
The bridge that goes to Bel Air Island Estates, if you got funds in there for maintenance, when it comes time to replace that, how are those people gonna be able to come and go?
There's some different strategies that the engineers have said that there's a way they can build the bridge to, you know, build one side or keep traffic
They
flow
did that on
going.
Harrison, didn't they?
It wasn't a full replacement, it was just a repair.
Well,
It can be done,
Yeah.
is what I was told.
Okay.
So it's not like
They're
we
doing
have
it
to
over
shut
on
down the
Buttonwood
island.
right now.
Are they?
There you go.
Yeah,
That-
there is
that-
one.
that-
But they have a traffic light.
Okay.
They put up a traffic light on this, the
I'm
Buttonwood
not-
Bridge.
drive over there and
It's
see.
not 30 feet long.
On Buttonwood, they're doing it right now.
Yeah, it's a one-way or a single
A
road.
single road, they
Yep.
took half the bridge
Okay.
and worked on half, and the other half
Yeah.
of a traffic light program to
Okay.
let people on.
We're gonna be doing some, just general repair maintenance that we do every 2 years because.
Can we
get the
make it
inspection.
elevated enough to get the boats under? So
Right.
12 foot high or something?
Not this year.
Okay, all right.
Too much to go around.
But you will
Doesn't hurt
see
to ask.
contract out there doing work on it as usual, and it'll be down to one lane.
It'll take your approach down to Bay Shore. You can raise it up 12 feet.
Exactly.
I don't think the residents before the bridge will like
Yeah,
that.
fly over past Mitch's house.
Yeah.
But as you look through these projects, is there anything that jumps out or questions?
I only had kind of, I guess, a question, but I think the Gulf Boulevard beautification, that's all going to be underground, isn't it?
That's the undergrounding currently.
And that's both sides, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The west side is complete.
Figures. I know we talked about that the other night after the meeting. We're gradually getting our side done.
Well, they just started phase one, right?
Yes.
Right.
This week.
Yes.
But that is an expenditure that will be reimbursed.
That's,
Yeah.
Half of it'll be is in, and the other half will be reimbursed after it's
Okay.
finished. So.
gotcha.
And that's all at the mercy of Duke Energy. So right now we're putting the conduit on the ground. Let's pray for no storms anywhere in the state because that will draw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Delay, no delay everything.
Yeah.
The way we're doing it now is we want to make sure that if possible, if Duke Energy can get to the point where they're done wiring phase one, it can be energized in case something happens in between completing phase two, so we're not sitting there waiting for everything.
Yeah, I'm sure they could engineer that in, but at an additional cost.
Well, they're engineering it in, but we're making sure that it's done in such a way because we have two switches, and once I have the work prints of where the switches are gonna go, they're gonna have to go in the right of way off of Causeway. You know, because it's our right of way, I'm gonna have to have it approved.
Yeah.
But that one of those switches will feed back to phase one, and to make sure that we can at least get that going as soon as it's complete.
That would be great. Yeah.
Boulevard, is there anything, street resurfacing, you'll notice in this project account, this is tied into our stormwater projects. So when we're going through, that loan we took, you'll see in prior year funding, that's the portion of the street resurfacing for the project that came in and then it's being expended in the following year.
Can I ask a question? Page 50, the city street lighting program. I thought that this was brought up Monday night. Are they going to standardize the lighting throughout the city as far as distance between
That's
light
the goal.
posts?
The goal is to bring the cities, or the streets that don't have very many on them, at least to what
Okay, that's
the
what I,
higher
okay,
lit streets are, to kind of get more balance, you know?
yeah. Yeah, it makes sense because, say for example, just on 22nd Street, there's one double arm lamp post, and it's like halfway between Gulf and Bayshore.
Mhm.
So you got some dark areas, but I keep a garage light on, one of those eco-friendly ones, and then I got an outlet that's on the wall, so it helps light things up. And then they across the street, at least until midnight or so, their lights are on, and they got the same type of lights. But I notice when you drive down Gulf Boulevard at night, you look down side streets, there's a lot of
There's some
lot of
dark
spaces.
spots, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Since we're on the topic of lights, this is just another question, and I probably should know this, but I haven't been in Florida very long. But why are some of them like purple, like this purplish color versus white?
I don't know.
That's a defect. It all comes back to whatever contract for the parts and the lights. There's a defect that they will replace it if that goes bad. And
Okay.
that's what happens. That's why you see them randomly all
Yeah,
over.
yeah, they're just kind of. I thought it had something to do with the turtles. I'm like, what's
No,
going
yeah.
on here?
That would be the opposite for the
Especially-
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, so that would
it
be
seems to be
worse for the
dark,
turtles.
right? Yeah. Okay.
But, yeah,
Well, you
that's what
think
it
there's
is.
something wrong with your vision.
Anytime you
That's
see
the-
one though, you can report it and they'll
Oh, okay.
respond to it. They came out and did ours pretty quick.
Oh, did they? Okay.
That's why it was
Yeah.
an issue.
Okay.
Moving on to Marina Fund. This is an enterprise fund, so it's treated differently. Everything that we have in our positive balance gets transferred back into our operating budget. The only project that exists, project savings, is for the marina dock improvements. That includes the pilings and the slips and the catwalks. Right now, we have some that are, they're getting old, they need to be replaced. It's coming back up. Right now, we have 52,500 in there. We came back for about 50% of our pilings, and I think it was 73,000 was the cost on it. That's a big spend at this point. They're not to the point where they're breaking, failing completely. They're just getting old. It's been talked about. We have some slips. Actually, I remember Shirley brought it up twice here. That we have some slips that have, well, a lot of them have lifts, and we have tie poles that are just been there, and they're not really needed. So they don't necessarily need to be replaced as long as someone's using a lift in those slips. So it's a different way to look at it. But when I saw the number, it wasn't something that I feel at this point we need to do. But
Nice to have, not a need to have.
and Heather needs to adjust this because I caught it. We were going to bump it up to the 10,000 just savings to get some more money saved for when we do want to do something with those slips and catwalks or whatever we decide.
So I was looking at, this is page 66, the kind of the rentals by the slip. So you'd mentioned you'd like to be able to put something in, like if you get the boat, could you put it in, or is it?
Well, that'd be-
Slip one, can you ever put it there?
It could be, yeah, because the history on that is they stopped doing it because they felt like there was some conflict with the outfall there. I guess maybe if you jammed a lift in there and then the county had to do maintenance, it could become an issue. But to just have something moored up there that could be moved is not. So, that was the.
How are the
thought
rates
process with that.
determined? Is it comparable to others? I don't know how many other valleys have any.
It's been a long time.
Don't bring up marina rates.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's a good deal.
Just
Yeah.
curious,
I think it's cheap, but.
We're taking a look at the whole process of the wait list and kind of the idea of who we in the long term want using the marina.
Is there a big wait list?
Yes.
Well, you know what that calls for.
Non-residents with, what's for
Increase.
the residents?
There were a lot of non-residents, so we're trying to.
Get
make it
Non-residents that
available
are
for
there,
residents.
no,
That
there
makes
was
sense.
actually a time where it was very hard to fill the slip. And that's how they got in. And they've been there because there's value to those slips. So. But it's something that could be handled over time, depending on what it's decided. And, you know, we develop a plan and policy for it.
Does a slip
Still be
with a
considered.
lift include the electricity?
Yes, the water and the electricity is included.
That's very reasonably
I know, I
reasonably
suggested
priced.
that they
Very
add a
reasonably
fee
priced.
for utilities, and no one agreed with me on
mean,
that.
Yeah, I think it makes
You done
sense.
any homework, how do these rates, $9 a foot?
There's been a lot of homework, and that's why the last resolution with the step-by-step 5-year increase was done. It was agreed upon. You'll see all different things when you look at around, but the trick is it's hard to compare apples to apples because everything is different. Everything has different, you know, lifts provided and different facilities on site that are useful to someone who's going to vote.
Sure. There's a wide range of services that you can pay for. At some places, others not.
Am I not mistaken that we're still doing a study again, we're working on this again, right?
We are
Mike
working on
Zabel
this, yes, and
is
he's-
leading,
He's drafted another draft. So what happened was the mayor worked on it. He added some things. He came up with the idea of classing out the slips so that you have 3 separate wait lists for different size slips that the resident could choose to which one you want to be on. And then there was some more debate on kind of the policy, and then members able took that and has come up with a draft. So we are attempting to have a work session on the 24th. It's not set yet, but that would be an item I'd like to have on there because it's been ongoing.
it's hard to just put a policy in place because, as you know, like the width of the beam of the boat is different. We've only been looking purely at the length of the boat and said this slip will take a 50-foot boat, this slip will take a 30-foot boat, you know, instead of going, well, that might change because the beam of the boat, you might be able to get a bigger boat in there, you know, on some of the center console
And
boats, so.
you have weight restriction on the lifts.
Yeah, but the lift's their responsibility, not ours. So you rent the space, you bring your own lift, you take it when you leave. Unless the guy coming behind you wants to buy it.
Okay, but the heavier, sometimes they have to have double poles.
Right, and again,
And
it's
then
their
your
problem.
own problem.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know,
Gotcha.
there's, and so it gets really complicated. I'm like, you almost need a dock master out there. You know, it's not a simple pick up the phone and call. Patty can't just say, oh, we've got a slip open.
It's Aaron now.
Oh, well, whoever, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I took
yeah.
it from Patty. And
Yeah, well, that's probably good. But anyway, so,
So yeah, it presents its own challenges, especially if we plan on doing some reconfiguration out there. It's a different situation because you do all these years. People in those slips have financed their lifts, so they're kind of invested too. Which in some cities always provided lifts, so
Yeah.
kind of gives them a little. It's just a challenge.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last fund is the stormwater fund. That assessment is the $15 per unit, and it's billed on a bi-monthly basis, so that's $30 in your utility bill. That's been consistent since the fund was put into place, and the revenue from that is budgeted at the $175,000. It varies slightly. The way our code is written is if somebody demolishes the house and there's no longer a structure, they're not required to have the stormwater fee. So if somebody demolishes and they can pull it off the utility until they do put something back.
Yeah, but they still have runoffs.
It's just the way-
Doesn't
it's
stay
the way
on,
it's in the
doesn't stay
code.
on the property.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do have a lot more pervious surface. The chances of your rainwater staying on your property are a lot higher without
Yeah.
structure.
but if they don't have, I think the caveat should be, do you have water connected at the site or not, right? So if they knocked it down and their intent is to build and they put temporary water on there, they should still be paying the fee.
Yeah.
in my
well,
opinion.
Yeah, and honestly, most people don't know that they can cancel the service. So usually between demolition and construction, it's running.
Still getting charged.
But if they do request it, because it's on them to request
If you can afford to
then-
buy that house and build it, you don't care.
No, yeah, they're,
$30.
I mean, a lot of people don't even cancel their trash fee.
I know what you're saying. I know exactly.
I had, this is a quick separate point. I had somebody who was being billed separately, paying waste management for trash services for their property, not knowing, and I think it was like close to 10 years, not knowing
That
that
it's
it's
in-
billed through their utility bill.
Oh
They
my
just got the
goodness.
information from the person that they bought from. I guess that person might have been doing it too, I don't know. But they're paying for a property over in Bel Air.
Oh,
And nice thing is, once we figured that out, it all got credited back and all those years of payments, but they had no idea.
no idea. Yeah. Strange.
Okay, and then like I said, with the personnel services, that's from Public Works side. This is the 15% of that's was allocated to this budget based on the amount of time estimated that they spend on the utility. One thing we've constantly been seeing in our stormwater is the 460 account, 538-460. That continues to go up. It's just wear and tear on the infrastructure. So whether it's cleaning out the barnacles, oysters that build up in the pipes, or it's lining the pipes, or using grout injections to, fix holes where the
Yeah.
land is depressing and going washing out. So
And
What
this-
is the
That's
street
to be
sweeping
expected.
schedule?
that
Once per
is a
quarter?
monthly.
Or monthly?
Monthly, yes. That kind of will vary different times of the month. They always collect the 4 yards. USA Services does it. Usually it's pretty early in the morning.
On this, page 61, 538.0161, car allowance.
That's because of personnel services. There's the community services administrator has a car allowance, and that is the portion of it that goes
Oh,
to this
okay.
fund. And it's all split out. This whole personnel services from Public Works is split out on
Okay.
that same percentage.
And this does include your second working
Yes.
too? Okay.
Yes, yes, you plug that in. I just broke it out. And then your two projects in stormwater are your valley curb and your stormwater projects themselves, which is the pipe replacement.
I noticed there's a couple of places that we've paved and the water just doesn't run. It's pretty hard to get those valleys all going in the right direction to the nearest storm drain.
It is in our
It
community.
is, especially on the island.
Yeah.
20 Donata has between Alita and where it makes the curve to Donata, it just piles up there. It doesn't go either direction. I don't know.
And it wasn't
and
an
it's-
issue before the roads were repaved. That's what I'm
Well,
finding.
right,
yeah.
but when they repaved the roads, they put in new valley panes.
Oh, they didn't on Harrison, so
Oh.
we have all kinds of issues over there.
They did for us.
Yeah.
Of course, it depended on how bad yours were. They came by and marked all the bad places, and then I guess someone made the decision, well, we're replacing the whole thing. It's because they replaced them all.
Right.
But I know that there's a limited amount of fall you can induce.
Yeah.
And it just has to dry up on its own. If it gets really, really full, the drain, yeah, you're gonna get it moving one way or the other for a while.
Sure.
But then
Until it
it
gets to that
still
point.
sits to that point.
And then we had that really bad area on Alita that we had to actually stick an inlet in and use piping
Yeah.
in the right of way to alleviate it, because it was
Real bad.
So yeah, again, this is just like the street resurfacing, where you have it broken out by the project. This is the Valley Curb portion. Is same thing. Loan came in this year. It's projected to be spent in 2024 budget. And same for our stormwater improvement projects. Previous budgets had the stormwater improvement projects broken out in sections of streets by area. All those have been put together into one new project to get it taken care of. That's why you don't see any of the out years. And you guys probably been flipping through your detailed budget, but that was the other. It was just the general fund operational expenditures, just a little bit more broken out to see where the money is.
A little more detail.
Yeah. One thing I did through all of these line items though is really looked at what we spent over the last couple of years, and if we weren't spending anything or we weren't spending nearly as much, then I tightened up the budget so that it was all right.
I know last year we went through a process, we just kind of always had, 25,000 placekeeper and a 50,000 placekeeper, and I think they got tightened up to it.
I did.
Reality, actuals.
Yeah. Like if you go to, especially in Public Works, our big expenditure accounts are the operating supplies. You'll see that I dropped that 13.4%. And then on the operating supplies parks, I dropped that by 21%. I just tightened those up a lot just because we're always conscientious of how we spend the money and we're thrifty about it, but there was a lot of cushion built in there and I just wanted to get it close.
That looks good.
Anybody have any questions for Kyle? Pretty thorough. Tom, any questions?
No, thanks, and thank you, Kyle, for the connection.
Welcome.
The next thing is, according to this, we've reviewed it, we need a motion to recommend adoption.
All right. Motion to recommend
I
adoption.
make a motion.
What, okay, second. I'm not gonna ask a question until I see what the next step is. Because we should be making a recommendation for the, we go back to, page 3, the tentative millage rate.
Well, then I'll withdraw my motion and make the motion to adopt the tentative rate.
So,
Which is
The
no
existing
change.
rate,
adopt the tentative rate and then adopt.
I was gonna say, should we adopt the budget and then the, recommend the budget pass as presented and then recommend
Based on the
that we
recommended
adopt the
tentative millage rate.
the existing rate as a tentative rate.
Which one you want
You want me
first?
I think that's why I said let me stop what you do.
Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead with your,
Go ahead with the motion to do what?
to approve the budget as presented.
Adopt. Okay, budget, okay. Okay, got it.
That motion was
And Jody
John.
I made the motion and Jody seconded it.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? No. And then we'll follow that up with a motion to adopt or retain the existing millage rate,
And I think we should specify what it is.
2.0394.
2.0394.
Millage rate.
All right, I'll move it.
So, second?
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 All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Well, good job, Audit Committee. Now tell the auditor.
Is that the correct name, or should we have another? The audit committee, because we have a resolution, So the audit committee will review the budget.
There's two things,
Correct.
two things that we have to do every year, if I recall correctly. And one is approve the financial comprehensive exam.
Right.
And then two is
Okay, so it's
review the
written.
budget. And then three, now if we're doing an RFP, then we need to be involved in the RFP process. And then
Okay.
make a recommendation to council for the audit.
And that's the job of the audit
Audit.
committee, not the citizens advisory.
But the audit committee is comprised of the Citizens Advisory Committee plus one council member.
Right. Yep. Got it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
really
good job,
put together
Kyle,
well.
thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot
Kyle,
of,
you did a
Nice,
good job.
nice
Yes.
work.
Heather does a good job too.
Because she does.
Make it note, Heather does a good job.
Communicates very
All these
well.
like nice little layouts and charts and everything.
Yeah,
it's
definitely
great at that.
stepped up our game on our
Do you have
budget.
any other
Yeah.
business for discussion?
I don't know, I move that we
Dismiss?
dismiss this meeting.
Okay.
John seconds.
End it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay.